Sometimes you see an object and it looks pretty simple, like this, a small metal coin, almost 100 years old. But what if I told you this is no ordinary coin? This is an amulet, a legend. And today we're going to unpack the incredible story behind what might just be the world's most valuable monk coin.
So let's just start with the number. Get this, more than 10 million Thai baht. That's well over $250,000 US for one of these coins. It's easily one of the most sought-after, most revered sacred amulets in all of Thailand. Just wow.
So the big question is, why? What gives this little piece of metal such incredible power, such mind-blowing value? Well, it's definitely not just about what it's made of. To really get it, you have to understand the man who created it, the incredible, legendary monk Luang Pho Klan.
All right, so let's start with the object at the very heart of our story. This famous coin was minted way back in the Buddhist era year of 2469. That's 1926 for most of us. And it was made for a very specific reason: to raise money to fix up the main temple hall at Wat Pradu Songtham.
Now, its fame isn't just based on cool stories. A huge part of the value is just how ridiculously rare it is. I mean, look at these numbers. Even the most common copper version, there were only 3,000 of them ever made. But then you get to the precious metals. Silver with a gold face, only 12. 12! In the entire world. That kind of scarcity, yeah, that alone tells you a lot about the price tag.
But a high price is one thing. The spiritual power is something else entirely. So where does that come from? For that, we've got to rewind way back to 1847, to a little boy born into a poor family, long before he ever wore the saffron robes of a monk.
His birth name was Oud, but his dad saw this incredible fire in him, this sharp and courageous spirit, so he gave him a new name, Klan, which means brave or strong. And boy did he live up to it. Even though he grew up with nothing, he became a master of ancient Thai martial arts and a famous performer in the Khan masked pants, especially known for playing the divine monkey god Hanuman.
And this is what's so fascinating about him as a young man. You had these two sides to him. On one hand, he was a Nakhon, a tough guy, a fighter that nobody messed with. But on the other hand, he was this graceful artist, embodying the divine monkey Hanuman on stage. This mix of raw power and incredible discipline that would come to define his entire life.
So you have to wonder, right? How does a guy like that, a famous fighter, a celebrated performer, end up becoming one of the most respected monks in the country? Well, his life was about to take a major turn. At just 27 years old, he made a huge decision. He walked away from the fighting, the performing, all of it. He was ordained as a Buddhist monk and given a new name, Thammachoti, meaning one who is bright in the Dhamma, or the teachings of the Buddha. He started his new life at Wat Phra Yatikaram, the temple that would become his home forever.
And this, right here, is where the story goes from impressive to absolutely legendary. See, as a monk, Luang Pho Klan took that same crazy discipline he had for martial arts and poured it into his spiritual practice. And the abilities he developed were, well, they were almost beyond belief.
His most famous power was called Wucha Chatri. Now, this isn't about having skin like steel or being invincible. No, it's something much more subtle and, frankly, way cooler. Wucha Chatri is the art of nullifying force. They say if someone threw a heavy stone at you, it would feel like a single leaf landing on your shoulder. It just dissolves the impact. And this wasn't some magic trick he was born with. Oh no, this power was forged through almost unimaginable discipline. To achieve it, you had to master special chants, learn to draw sacred symbols on your body using just your finger. And you had to do this ritual every morning and every evening, without fail, for 3 solid years. I mean, can you even imagine that level of dedication? But his powers didn't just come from a place of toughness. They came from a deep, deep well of compassion. It's famously said that he could literally understand what animals were saying. Every single morning when he'd take his boat out for alms, a huge flock of crows would follow him, totally silent, just patiently waiting for him to finish eating so they could receive the leftovers he'd blessed for them.
And his spiritual skills weren't only about protection. He also mastered other sacred chants to help people in their everyday lives, like the Iti Piso Bua Ban, which was known to bring good fortune, luck, and success. It just shows you the incredible range of his abilities.
Here's a little bit of that chant, and the legend that goes with it is just beautiful. It was said that if you recited this chant with a pure heart, while focusing on a closed lotus bud, it could cause the flower to miraculously blossom right before your eyes, a symbol of your own good fortune opening up. Okay, so let's bring this all back together. We've looked at the man, the fighter, the artist, the incredibly disciplined monk. Now let's see how all of that spirit and power got poured into that one small coin and how it lives on even today.
And this really is the absolute heart of the legend. For believers, the magic isn't in the silver or the copper. The coin is just a vessel. The idea is that through a lifetime of meditation, discipline, and compassion, a monk like Luang Pho Klan builds up this immense spiritual energy, or merit, and he could then transfer that pure energy, consecrating the coin and basically charging it with his own power.
And this isn't some forgotten piece of history. His legacy is a living, breathing thing. It's an unbroken chain. Luang Pho Klan passed his knowledge down to his disciple Luang Pho Ai, who was the one that actually created the 2469 coin. And that line of teaching continued all the way up to the temple's most recent abbot, Luang Por Chalaram, who only just passed away in 2021. This tradition has been carried right into our modern times.
Which kind of leaves us with one final big question to think about. When we see an object like this, valued in the millions, revered by so many, it makes you wonder, is the real power actually inside the piece of metal, or is the true power found in our collective faith, a faith inspired by the incredible life and spirit of the person who made it?